Oh, hey, Phil.
It seems a few less of us now. I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. We can say gents tonight because unfortunately Irene has sent her apologies. She's stuck in traffic. So, gents, welcome to this third meeting on the 11th of May, opening at 2012 hours. I am been asked to take on the acting chair of the meeting this evening due to the absence of President Abdullah, and I think as we don't actually have a chairman, I think it's a good role that everyone has a chance to get the experience and also to put their way across of chairing the meeting. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge everybody who's present. I've seen Freddie, I've seen Phil, I've seen myself, of course. I saw Anthony and Eric, and there was Matteo was there, and there's a message from Matteo saying that there has been no electricity all day, so he's struggling. So we don't know whether Matteo will come in. There was a sign, I didn't see him, of
Super.
Super, sorry, yeah, Super. I was trying to think of his actual name for
Jackson.
Jackson, yeah. And there's as I said already, there's an apology from Irene, though she may get in at the meeting at some point. It's been mentioned that Phil has to get away early, so let's try and keep this around and sweet. We don't seem to have a huge amount on the agenda, though we have basic points to agree and to report on. So on this point, can I ask Phil, can you come in with your agenda points, please?
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? Nice to see you again tonight. Just briefly, before I get on to the main point I want to make, I had a bit of a chat there with some guys in Aringa the other day. And as some of you might know, they run a touch rugby group up there every week. And the guys I spoke to were very keen for us to come down and start promoting real rugby. They're going to put the word out for us down there. And if there's any interest, we're hoping to hear back from some people. If anyone would like to get involved and potentially set up a club down there. And they'll reach out to schools for us. So essentially minimizing our work in advance of going there. So again, we can show up, they can put the word out, and we can show up and run some coaching courses later on in the year. So that's some positives on that front. And they gave me some information about Morogoro, and Paul, yourself mentioned that there was some program running one of the schools down there in Mbeya. So again, it's just positive news coming in. That there is other places out there for us to go and start looking at. My main point tonight is the coaching and referees course next weekend. Now we put together a budget for that, and that involves 3 people from each region traveling to Moshi, staying Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and traveling back Monday. It also includes the coach educators to come down from Kenya, and that's all meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For everyone included. Now, obviously, the guys in Moshi, they won't require accommodation or transport, and the guys from Arusha will only require one night's accommodation and much reduced costs on the transport because they're not traveling too far. There's a few bits and pieces that we need to fulfill in advance of the course, which is the World Rugby. Freddie, you know all the names from, but it's like there's the introduction to the laws, the introduction to rugby. There's a COVID protocol section. It's all pretty basic stuff now. The rules exam and the Rugby Ready, I think it's called.
Yeah.
The Rugby Ready stuff. I did them all the other day. They're fairly handy, but there's a lot in them. So I think for some of the guys, might struggle with. I think it's all in English. I don't think there's a Swahili version at all. So again, if we can get guys up there early Friday, I'll be up there for all day Friday. and I'll have my laptop, and Paul has put Nardi forward to come up with his laptop and just go through all the coursework with everyone in advance of the coaching and referees course. Now, what we were initially told was that it was going to be a 2-day coaching course and a 2-day referee course, so that whoever was sent up for the referees would only be completing the referees course, and whoever was sent for coaching would only be completing coaching. Now, what I found out from the guys in Kenya is that it's actually 1-day coaching, 1-day referee, and so instead of 2 coaches and 1 ref, we'll have 3 coaches and 3 qualified referees at the end of the weekend, which is good news. Now, the budget itself has come to, I sent it on to Paul, and obviously the Treasury, that's going to be discussed later on in Paul's points, but the rough budget comes to about $1,100. Now that's going to have to come from somewhere, and I know that's going to be discussed later on in this call. So there will be some funding. I'm happy to donate some money to the union, and I know a few other people are.
Just to jump in on that, Phil, I know Paul will speak to this, but that problem has been sorted, and
fantastic.
Scorpions Development will be covering that budget. So I'll let Paul go into that with you.
Excellent. That's perfect. So again, now my brief from now over the next few days is going to be, if that's the case, then is going to be to finalise all the arrangements, which will be booking accommodation, making sure that the school grounds are booked in, and making sure we have equipment that we need. And I know Super up in Moshi, it will be able to provide the cones and the balls and stuff like that from the Moshi Bulls. And I guess the only other thing we need then is a projector that the coach educators can use. So that's all I really have to add tonight. There's a few other things that I'll be working on, and I've been in contact with a few guys about in terms of sponsorship and just getting contacts for potential sponsors. So if we can get a database of sponsors together, or potential sponsors, over the next few weeks, there's going to be a group of us working on sponsorship packages and what we require and what the sponsors will get back, and our projections for the future and that kind of thing. So if everyone has any potential sponsors in mind, get their contact details, get them over to us, and we'll compile a big list so that once we have the packages in order, we can start sending them out and reaching out to people. And that's all I have for tonight, guys.
Awesome. That's great. That's great news about the Ringy, bud. Fair play.
Yeah. Phil, thanks very much for the detailed report. Again, yes, I know we have had, and others, deeper conversations about Aringa. And it's great that you had a good conversation with the guy. I only know Ben Roy, I think his name is. Is he the New Zealand guy I know about? Is he a New Zealand Kiwi?
He's an English guy. He's been there. He was telling me he's there 10 years with his wife. I'm not sure if he's the missionary gentleman you were talking about, but he's there. He runs a cafe for people with disabilities, and they do some other stuff down there. But they're very keen to have something.
Fine. To just further that, before in our days of TRD, we were in good communication with a milk dairy named Asda, and Wayne had communications of possible sponsorship of coaching in the area, though as Phil explained, we may not need so much there, but there was at one point some funds available. So it's another good asset to follow up, and a great area, great pitches, lovely area to be able to play and to be expanding on that. Just to further that once more, Phil and I were looking at the map of Tanzania, and we really fancied trying to get something going also in Bukoba, because it's close proximity to Uganda and the Congo and Rwanda. So, we've got a lot of things to do, but if anybody has any contact in those areas or any knowledge, then we should pursue it. But this is all the future, and that's great. I'd like to comment that provisionally I'm sending Nadi over to support the coaching course with a laptop. He has a lot of experience with the last level one we done. Philip, can I ask you, have all places been confirmed by all people, or have we got gaps, or what's going to happen? We want this as to be as cost effective as possible.
So all the places, you mean from all the regions? I've got names from Mwanza, Dar. I've got names from Dodoma. With Daniel got me the names from Dodoma. I haven't received names from Dodoma yet. Final names anyway. I've received names from Moshi, and I believe Tanga have put forward a few people. Now Moshi obviously will have the opportunity to put a couple of extra bodies in there because we won't need to be funding accommodation and transport for those guys. Although we will provide lunch.
Can I suggest that we have a confirmation within the week of everybody who's going to be able to attend? And if there's any gaps, then we should have a reserve list. As I said, I think the biggest expense of bringing these guys down, and we want to have a classroom full.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have at least 20 people on both days. So by the end of the weekend, we should have 20 level 1 coaches and 20 referees across the country. Now, again, I have all the names on my phone. I didn't finalize the list. Obviously, I was waiting on budget reports. But if the budget's there, well, then I'll get that list together and I'll start arranging the travel details for everybody.
Okay, well, I don't think I have anything else to ask. Only that I wanted to point out that if you are stuck for a projector, then we have to look. It's going to have to be a good asset for us in the future. We did invest in a projector through a crowdfunding from Dave Hatton. Am I correct me, Freddie? Dave, the guy who came, the English guy who came.
Yeah, we'll go with Dave. I can't remember his last name either. Dave from England.
He done a crowdfunding in. The TRD owns a projector, but whether we'll ever be able to possibly borrow that would be doubtful.
Yeah. Probably doubtful. But just in regards to that, I guess when I reach out to the school about using the facilities, I know Super has spoken to some schools up there, but that's one question. If they have a projector that we can use over the weekend, excellent. If we need to invest in one or borrow one, well, then that's something we have a week and a half to organise.
Okay, well, let us know early.
Yeah.
Finally, if you're stuck to find referee whistles, then I suggest that you put that ball back into Irene, and so they get sent down with John Bosco. Because I don't know in Tanzania whether you'll find ref whistles that easy, but we can try. We can check the shop, the sports shop in Arusha, if you need help.
I think maybe
Thanks, Phil.
Maybe Dar es Salaam might be an option there if the Dar guys want to explore that. Freddie,
is there anybody else who would like to add anything, comments about the remarks made from Phil on development?
I was going to jump in there, guys, quickly. Phil, one of the things I'm going to be working on is getting, not just for this course, because I think it's practical in terms of time, but from development, is getting a version of Swahili for that Get Into Rugby translated for us. It is the most basic thing that all players have to complete, not only coaches. So it prepares people ready for contact. And I know there's obviously not a literal translation for some stuff, but they have to understand it and not read it. There's a difference. So I'll get that done. In terms of, you mentioned loosely about the funding stream. I was going to ask, Will, could you pull up that funding diagram that we started for the union? Because that'll be relevant at some point. Also, in terms of the course, Phil, I've asked one of our guys in Kenya, a guy called Eduardo, who's on the Scorpions team, if he will give up some of his time and come down on the 22nd and support. He's waiting to see if he can move his work on. He would be another great asset, and somebody else like young Nadi who can use a computer and making sure that we can mitigate that problem that got identified. So, I just want to put that out there, guys. That's the two things I've got to cover really about it. That's it.
Freddie, I'd just like to reply to your...
Sorry, it's a big one as well. I've got a projector here waiting to be transported over to you guys. I just need someone from the UK to bring it over. You'd have to, if you can make do this weekend, you've got yourself a projector, is what I'm saying. There's one sitting here. It's about 3 foot away from me.
Thank you, Freddie. Indeed, I could have arranged even this week. Someone just flew back in, but keep me posted to that because I have got someone flying in June.
Yeah, anyone coming back and forth, keep me updated. It'll always be stuff to transport, all right?
Fine, thank you. And I really value the point you've made about trying to get some of this over in Swahili. And I do also believe that I wonder what they're doing in the Congo. Are they doing in French? What's happening? Is that, can we actually ask if there's any Swahili version? Because we've been, we'll overcome it ourselves, but there may well something already in place. And Kenya has agreed to use Swahili as a main language now as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's great news.
And Rwanda are dumping French.
Oh, brilliant. I've got to be honest, but it's, from my perspective, it's brilliant to see. I think it's one of the biggest problems in Africa, to be honest with you, so I'd be happy with that. Paul, I think this is relevant for you, and I know we touched upon sponsorship with Phil. This is something Will and I produced for the Scorpions, and a lot of it seemed to overlap for what we're going. At some point, could we discuss 2 points on the agenda, which reference this diagram? The past players and honorary members memorial fund or bursary, which we put there. And I think that's it, guys. Yeah. So at some point, could we discuss this as what I would request, Paul? But I'll let you crack on.
Yeah, I'm just adding that to those points to the agenda, and I had made a pre-note of that due to our pre-discussion on that.
It was just because I noticed Eric's on the line, and I wanted him for that particular role. So just.
Well, is there anybody else got any comments about the course or anything Phil had to say would like to come in? Anybody else have any other comments? I think I see Eric there.
No. I've got no comment. Everything is good. Whatever Phil said, I think is straight and forward. And we just need to work together to make it happen.
Daniel, can you mute your mic, bud? And thank you.
Okay, then to move on, and thanks Phil for that, and it's a great achievement, and we do look forward to this course very much, and I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful success, but I know it will be hard work and there'll be a little bit of stress there, but that'll be great. To move on the next agenda, if you don't mind me coming in, or would you like to, with the treasurer's agenda? Have we got enough voting members aboard?
I don't know if Jackson's in or not at the moment. Jackson seems to be going in and out. See full screen, Will, so we can see everyone. You've got 1, 2. Anthony's technically a voting member because Irene's not here, so you've got 3 voting members. So you can't actually pass a vote, but I would say that you can get your 3 votes and then maybe reach out to, say, Abdul and the other guys and get their confirmation. But if anything goes to the vote, we're going to be forced to do this a little bit, I think, at the moment with the technology and communication.
Potentially, if any of the guys are watching on the YouTube chat, say Matteo or Jackson, if you can't get onto this call, maybe you could leave a comment in if they're online. We'd be able to see it.
Yeah, a proxy vote online is fine with us, and then we can pick up on that and make that motion passed in the minutes. So as Freddie said, we need to keep it a bit little loose, though we're trying to be as very correct as possible, but the circumstances don't always allow. Sorry,
I'll just interject. Paul, can I just interject real quick? The YouTube thing is being recorded as well, so if anybody does want to watch this after the fact, I guess maybe can they submit a vote after the fact after watching the recorded version? I just wanted to interject it.
Put the questions out there, and then for them to watch it back in live time and get the full context. I think that's the best way. If people are not available, we can't. We've got 7 people available. That's as good as it's going to get today, I think, boys.
Well, as long as there is a majority, that's all what matters. So if you allow me to just offer you my agenda, and I put this out in the just before the meeting, so I hope others have found it. So briefly, I don't want to report on the National Sports Council. I can happily say that all documents are being processed in Dar es Salaam at the moment at the central offices. I tried today to try to get an update on it, and I got promised a call back. And when I had not received it, I tried to call numerous times, and the phone wasn't open. We all know governments, even in England, even in Tanzania, anywhere in the world, we'll always get a bit of bureaucracy, a bit of time delay, and promises which not always there. But I know it's not been with them for less than a week now, and it's a big call to ask for anything. They have assured me they'll give me a letter if there's any delay. So that's the progress on that. Number two is I want to report that we have started a bank account in the sense that we're the application. Unfortunately, until we get certain things in place, the registration from the Sports Council is one. Secondly, then we'll go for a government TIN certificate and number, and that's the tax people knowing about us. And the constitution will have to be accepted as it is for the purposes of the bank account procedure. So this is still taking time and will take time until all things fall in place. Right, on number three, I want to talk about the coaching and the refereeing course budget. And I want everyone who's seen that or have any sights into it. We're only working slightly approximately, but I commend Phil and Irene for getting a good budget together, which is realistic and saving money wherever possible. And those of you who are Tanzania, you'll find that this treasure is a bit mapari. So that's a bit tight-fisted. So I'm very happy when we see some money saving. I'm very happy when we look at alternative ways. And I'm more than happy when Phil says he'll cook the dinners at night and for everybody. So I really applaud you on a good one on that one. And for being, though you're Irish, you obviously got a bit of Scotsman in you as well. So I want everyone to just raise their hands to agree that they're happy that the budget can go forth.
I'm not a voting member, guys, but I've seen the budget, and from the Scorpions development perspective, because I obviously am sitting in two umbrellas here, guys, as you understand. I'm director of the Scorpions Rugby. They're very happy to contribute to this. So from their perspective, guys, they're expecting some outcomes as well. I want to be clear, they're not chucking money at this, so they're expecting to see qualified people holding certificates up in a couple of weeks' time, guys.
Can I have a full show of hands, please, gentlemen?
Before that, can I speak?
Yep.
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. So the Scorpion is coming in to fund the whole the refereeing course and the coaching course, right? If
Eric, correct. Can I just interrupt you? If you read the agenda, it will be item number 4. So if you can just hold back, and we'll deal with that on item number 4.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you privately, Eric. So I don't know if you've got that one. Give me a second.
All right, cool.
I sent it on the group. I sent the agenda on the group, and we'll deal with that. So first of all, can we agree the budget is applicable?
Yep, I'm happy with that.
Right. I can say that overwhelmingly, that budget is passed. Number 4, I would like Tanzanian Rugby Union committee and all participants, all future names, everybody, to be aware that with extreme humbleness, we have been offered a funding from the Scorpion Development Fund. This funding is a loan. It's not a gift. And during this time, whenever we will be funded, and we will be funded, we will have to pay this loan back in kind or monetary wise. Freddie has worked very hard within the Scorpion group to get them to agree, the development committee for them to agree to fund us while we are in our prime, when we are still trying to walk in this way. So nothing can do one without the other. So we needed to get the course under the way so we can be part of our qualifications. We need funds for that. So to ask Eric that we have now got the funds available to the amount of 1,000 British pounds, which is roughly equivalent to 3,100,000 Tanzanian shillings, and and that's equivalent to about $1,300 at the moment. So we have enough funding to run the course, and as we've been already seeing, the budget is acceptable, and I'm quite happy if everyone can agree that we will take this loan on board as a temporary loan.
Mr. Treasurer, I know Eric's got. Can I let Eric go first, because I think he's got something to say? Eric, do you want to jump in before I speak?
Yeah. Actually, what I wanted to know. Yes, he has already answered. Paul has already answered. It was simple as to know where it's coming from, and if it's temporary, if it's permanent, if we have to pay it back.
Okay,
yes,
I'll speak to this a little bit so you guys understand what is going on with the Scorpions. The Scorpions, their primary role, I guess, as a rugby club or rugby organisation is to promote rugby within Africa and rugby in Africa, outside Africa, if you catch my drift. So bringing people to Africa to show you what you do and vice versa. Right. As you can understand, guys, we've been in a pandemic and there's no magic pot of money. So we have created a charity which is going to go live in the UK called the Scorpions Charity, which is a UK-based charity. The money from that will fund such things as development like yourselves. So you guys will have direct access to that through the union. So that charity and the money. So if you put a bid in and said, I don't know, we want to send one of our players up to Kenya to play rugby or something, you could put money, you could ask for money from the charity. There'd also be, I'm working on Phil setting up an NGO, which will sit alongside in Tanzania. I've spoken to everyone about this, but I guess in answer to Paul's earlier question, which is relevant, how do other countries support themselves? It is a multitude of ways. And the diagram that I've pulled up with Will hopefully shows you many different ways than we can guarantee that money comes in. I won't go through all of these ways because it's pretty self-explanatory, but the money comes into the union through all these different arms. And I guess if you see charitable sector and rugby based, that's where the Scorpions would fall under that. It's a charity, it's a UK-based charity. So I guess it's you deciding what organizations you want to work with long-term and what benefit you, and that's all your decision-making, guys. But from a Scorpions perspective, if this money is spent correctly, and this is, I guess, my Scorpions at, and we get the outcomes with, as Phil said, 20 qualified referees and coaches, and those coaches are seen to be refereeing, then we can have another negotiation about how money can be spent further down the road, and if that loan needs to be paid back and over what period. In other words, guys, it's an open loan at the moment to get you up on your feet. No one else is putting money in, so I think it's just to get us over the table. I guess that's for me, Paul, as Scorpions head on. Sorry.
Yes, I mean, somewhere down the line, we have to have a formal arrangement about this, and we'll have to have some agreement. But as you say, we've got to get things going. Can I just ask you, and I'm sure the answer is no, but that we won't be expected to pay any interest or any charges on this money?
Yeah, there will be interest. It's at 59.9% AP. No, I'm only joking. No, it's an open-ended loan. There's no time frame on to pay it back. We ask that it's paid back in kind, and as and when you're able to do so. We don't want, for obvious reasons, our major priority with the Scorpions is to promote rugby, but also to develop rugby. So it'd be a bit stupid if we asked you for the money back next week and that stopped you developing other things. All I would ask is when the time is right and the first pot of significant money comes in, that you look back to paying back the people that got you to this point. But I think we're 6 months away from that discussion at the moment, guys. So have the money and we'll discuss it in another year. As long as it's discussed by the next AGM, I'm happy.
It will be known as a soft loan to us, and we'll have some formal letter arranged that we have this loan. Can everyone agree? It doesn't need to be voted on, that we gratefully will happy to receive this funding. Everyone agree?
Yeah, sure.
Right, I'll take it that everyone in the meeting agrees, and no. Did I hear a no?
Oh, fine. It's okay.
Fine. He's good. Yep.
Right. Okay. So I've adopted that as a number 4. Now, I don't know quite. I'll have to discuss with Freddie about the nature of the way this funding comes in. But
that was going to be my next question. Like, because if you haven't got your bank account, which I didn't know until now, as long as there's a record of that transaction, I'm familiar with sending money, whatever means in which you want. So it can be Western Union, whatever we have to do to get over to you guys. Just you tell us what you want.
Well, it's not just this. We may be in a position in the bank account may take still a little time, but on article number 5 on my points is possibly using. I have a reserve bank account which is stagnant at the moment, and to be honest, I used to this is the bank account I use for Tanzanian rugby development. I opened, and as the treasurer of that, I and another signatory at the time used that account. That account is dormant at the moment, and that account could be used, providing the committee would agree. It's not desperate we have to agree on that now, but it's a suggestion if we needed a bank account for any other reasons. But the bank account is in the name of the treasurer at the moment. Adding that to number 6 would be that we can adapt that. If we did take it on, we can add a second signatory to that account if not need be. But these are all scenarios we don't have to deal with now, but just I want it raised for the point of view of transparency.
Can I speak to that, Paul? I think the chicken and the egg scenario is we've only got how long will it take realistically to set that bank account up? And I think if closer to that date the bank account isn't set up, we have to go with the option you just presented. If that bank account gets sorted in the interim, great. But if it doesn't, we need to pay it into a bank account that there's a record of that, as opposed to doing like a Western Union or something like that, you know?
Yeah, well, I think to answer you, Freddie, is that I'm pretty confident we won't get this bank account before we need money for the course. We will need, previous discussions with Phil, we need some advance money before the course anyhow. So I think if the committee are willing for us and trust us, the treasurers, together with Super, we will discuss this, how this can be handled, and then we will report at the next meeting on how we handled it. But you know, we have to have a little bit of rope, ongeza kamba, so we can work, you know, and make decisions within. We can't always be handing. So we will make those decisions on behalf and present it in a transparent way.
Yeah, as long as there's a record of everything and everything's being kept paperwork-wise, guys, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so those are the only points I had. Has anyone got anything to raise to the treasurer or the vice treasurer?
I guess the only thing that I wanted to raise for the treasurer would be the document that I've just started. That just to pass that over to you. You asked me a question at the start or early on the call: is how do other unions fund themselves? And that's probably the best description I can give you in a grammatical formation. Will, if you could pull up that diagram again, bud, and we can get a copy over that to Paul. But I think...
Okay, so I think it's to combine this is. So, Freddie, if you'd like to do all your points in covering this also, it would be,
yeah, okay,
a good opportunity.
Okay, I'll fire through it. So I'll go through this document quickly, guys. So this is in terms of, we've got a rough approximate baseline price, thanks to Irene and Phil, and everyone in each region has submitted budgets. We know in order for us to run a league, it's going to cost about $20,000, give or take, and that probably an annual basis to do development stuff. Now that sounds like a massive amount of money, and it's a scary amount of money. But what I wanted to do is to show you guys how that would be broken down into more manageable sums. So each one of those points there is a potential monetary stream. I guess the big one to go after would be a domestic league sponsor, but it's also important to understand when you become a national team, you'll have a national team sponsor, which will feed in as well. So I think most of you have dealt with sponsorship within your clubs or in some capacity in life, so I don't have to bore you with that. There's other pots of money available that we can access through the Sports Council. It might be development grants, etc., etc. World Rugby, I would say, if you look at Rugby Africa and World Rugby, the money from that is going to be more in a practical sense. It'll come with requirements. It'll come with this money needs to be spent on, I don't know, women's rugby or refereeing or whatever the mandate is. So that comes with a particular tag on it, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas the other stuff, like for instance, if we end up with a National Olympic Sevens team, will there be funding available from the Olympic Committee for them, for instance? The one thing I've suggested to Paul, based on previous conversations and reading the old constitution, that past honorary members, I know we've got a new constitution, but we're trying to bring it over, past honorary members of the Tanzanian Rugby Union need to be brought in some capacity. And I think a lot of these guys are elderly, they run businesses, ex-rugby players want to see what you're doing achieved. You know, they want to see Tanzania rugby back on the map. So I think we could set up some sort of subsidiaries fund around it. And I think that's the quickest pot of money to access. All the other ones will require knocking on doors and meetings, but that is something that we could potentially pull together as a collective. People can identify all the old players that they knew or played with or remembered, or, you know, I've got a connection to. We get a list of those players and or ex-players, sorry. It's list of the honorary members, which we will be able to pull up off the old minutes and stuff. We comprise a list and we send an invitation to these people. That would lead me on. So that's the one thing I'd added to the letter of the agenda, Paul, is that a letter of invitation to past players and to honorary members to join and form a members fund, or I don't know, a bursary, or whatever term you want to use, because there's millions of them. The other major one there, guys, I guess related to past players is, sorry to be a pain in the arse, could I have the grammatical representation of the organisation quickly, Will? So that'll lead me on to that. I got Eric on the call, guys, and I've spoken to Paul and Philip privately about this before I put this forward for tonight's agenda. Sorry, Will, can I have the grammatical structural of the union itself, with all the roles and roles in there? My tech guy's gone out, guys. Where's he gone? Right, so, Will, you there, bud? Yep, you are.
Yeah, just 1 sec. I just gotta dump out of this presentation. So just give me a minute here. You talk amongst yourselves, and I'll be right there.
Yeah, no dramas. So the reason Eric is on the call, guys, because obviously he's a non-voting member, is I've asked Eric to come on the call this evening, and I want to put him forward as someone who was going to take control of and lead a players' union. Why is a players' union important? Because it gives the players a voice. Practical circumstances or scenarios, I guess, when players would need to have a players' union. Maybe there's a disciplinary. Maybe a player hasn't been selected for the national team and thinks it's unfair. Maybe one of the coaches, all the coaches have come from Arusha and the guys in Dar saying that's not fair. So I guess it's a voice for the players themselves, but it is not in opposition with the union. It's to work alongside the union and make sure all the players are happy. So the major job of the players' union is to form, and I've spoken to Eric briefly about this, is to have a representative, again, like we got the referees and the coaches from each region. And thank you very much, sir. So I wanted to kind of show you how that would sit. So all the green roles you can see there are our voting members that we've all agreed upon. We know that Daniel, can you see that list below there, Daniel, of all the referees? So I need a list. I need a referee for each region, Daniel. Under there, fabulous. And then you've got Anthony. You've got your team that has started to form after last week's meeting, the PR team, which are going to sort of cover the media, marketing, etc. Underneath Phil, we know that there are going to be development people in each region. So I guess anyone who doesn't fall into each one of those is probably going to be a player. In other words, if you're not a coach, you're not a referee, you're not a team manager, you're not a development officer, you're not a committee member, you're just not just a player, you're the most important person, you're a player. So those players need to fall under some umbrella. So what I'm suggesting is we form Eric's supporting myself with international rugby already and supporting Philip with development. So I think it'd be a good role for him to step in, work alongside us, and hopefully on July the 30th replace me, so I can go on holidays. But so I guess that's the plan at the moment, guys. So I want to be clear, and I've spoken to 2 people today about this and said, look, don't think there's any nefarious agenda. The goal of myself and the Scorpions team is to get you to a point that you are self-sufficient, and I think a players' union would be a good step. You don't have to adopt it. It's just my recommendation. So I put it out to you guys for suggestion if you want to do that, and then we can maybe suggest putting Eric forward. Can I put that out to you, Mr. Treasurer, to put out for a point of reference?
Can you bring me in? Am I in?
You in. Okay.
Then yes. We'll take this as a point of reference and for further discussions, and this should fall in line with our previous discussion of subcommittees. But the Players' Union is a very interesting side, and is a very, very dual purpose. It will help the union, and it will help the players, and it will mean the growth of the game between us. I would like to raise one point which I was unsure about, because we can't all together think of insurance. Would the union be able to, the Players' Union, be able to have a small fund in case of for injuries or such alike?
I
That's
think
just
I think my particular take on that would, apologies guys, because I don't understand Tanzanian shillings very well unless I'm there, because I work in different currencies. But I was told 1,000 shillings is a small amount of money. Is that right? Before I talk about this, is 1,000 amount of money that most players could afford?
Yeah, I mean, 1,000 is a very small dominant to us who has it, but for some people just live on 1,000 a day. But it's approximately 50 cents, or it's 30p or 40p, round about that.
Okay, so I guess my point is this. The majority of people could afford it, but there are going to be people that are going to fall below that threshold, and we don't want to alienate those people. And we know under the rugby requirements, inclusivity, inclusivity, so everyone can play rugby based on no financial costs or whatever. So I guess that's where going back to the Players' Union, if that was implemented, Eric then could identify players that don't meet those requirements and maybe haven't got enough money. He gets a call from, I don't know, Dizzo in Dodoma and says, hey, we've got 5 guys that they can't pay this 1,000. We can then pull together as a group and go, hey, do you know, I get some of the more expensive guys can cover that. We don't want money to be an obstacle to play rugby, which has been previously in the country. So I guess what I'm saying in Roundway is we have to be seen to present something. So that would be my recommendation. Keep it at 1,000, and the ones who can't pay the 1,000, the ones who can pay a bit extra, kind of top it up.
Thank you. Regards to the membership of the union and the membership of the Players' Union, then I think there's two things here. We've talked about the honourable members who have paid a life membership and getting them to recontribute, but we also have to know we need members of the union first and foremost. And to give everyone an idea, previous history of the union, going back to 2012, players or associated or sports sponsors, supporters or otherwise, were paying 5,000 shillings as the minimum, and then a voluntary amount above that, 5,000. we are now in a different spectrum altogether. And, as Freddie has just said, even if people can't pay, then it means those who have paid for a suggestion, 5,000, it then support those who don't. We are a union in rugby, and we will be a players' union that may have a separate funding contribution, which also helps towards any injured players.
I guess to summarise, firstly, can I nominate Eric for that role to take a lead of that sort of subcommittee and set that up? And can I have a vote on that, please? I know there's not many voting members. Eric, you can't vote for yourself, by the way.
I'm very happy that Eric could take this position, and we'll give him all the support he needs.
Okay, that's fab. Eric, I think it's for you to grow it with the players on the ground and come up with stuff and feed it back to the union and say, I don't know, 1,000 is reasonable or that's not reasonable. I think have a go away. I know you've had a bit of time to think about this, but in the role, so it's you're the person who's got to keep all the players happy. And here's the good news. Eric gets, because he's agreed to it now as well, and we've all agreed, Eric gets to be the guy tracking everyone down for memberships.
That is quite a work, But yeah, I'm up for it. Again, I did my research over the weekend. I spoke to some players across the regions, Moshi, Arusha, whatsoever. So first I wanted to ask them randomly, what they're facing, what they're going through, what can be done, what the solutions they've been doing. And by tomorrow, I'll form the Players Union WhatsApp group. And then I think we shall start up from there. I need their suggestions as well. Yeah. And of course, I don't want it to be like authoritative, like coming from one person, just coming from me. Like we have to contribute, And
brilliant. That's what we want. We want the voice of the players.
I'll give you more feedback when it's up and running. I think the next meeting we have, so I'll have a better report about everything we've been doing,
Okay, I think that's brilliant.
So I'm good. Can I just say one thing, Eric, and everybody, that whatever we decide on these major points will have to be mentioned in the new constitution, which hopefully will be put together.
Yeah, I think when we have a call and we get more guys on, we just start. We got till July the 30th to change our constitution, guys, so we can keep chipping away at it, adding to it, refining it, making it Tanzanian purposeful and into the modern. Paul, the next point that I want to raise, because I think we covered that, is I know you talked briefly with Phil, and I didn't want to interrupt, about inviting the Aringi Highlanders, I believe they're called, to the dance. Can I also suggest that we write a formal letter of invitation to both the TRD, Arusha Rhinos, and the Dar Leopards? I may be wrong. I don't think there's anyone else I've missed in. Or the Miam, I can't pronounce it. Help me out, guys. The Mambeli.
Mbeya.
That's what I was saying. It's just my Welsh accent. Mbeya. I think if we should formally invite those guys to the table. We've, our mission statement from when we started this was to have a united Tanzania, and as have many people, and I appreciate there's been issues in the past with certain clubs, but this is United Tanzania. So my recommendation is they have a letter of invitation that is sent to either the chairman or appointed person, and that's documented within the minutes that they've been invited to join.
Yeah. Can I come in? Well, is Phil still there?
It's just Eric is waiting to speak at the moment, I think. Go on.
Yeah. I agree with you, Freddie, 100%. Again, let's invite them, because I'm in the group of the Dar Leopards. They started training, I think, last Friday as well. So they're up and running a little bit now. They are trying to form a new committee. I think in June they are having, a president, the chairman, and whatsoever, their management. So yeah, it would be a good thing to send them. There's a guy called Gustav in the Dar Leopards. I think he's in charge. He's a secretary there. So he's actually
in the federation chat. He's actually in the federation chat. He hasn't responded. I think. Sorry.
He's busy. Of late, he's busy. He got new responsibilities. He works for APSA, He's the head of IT in ABSA, so he's kind of on and off. So I spoke with him. He called me actually.
Oh, brilliant!
So I spoke with him 2 days ago. But yeah, we can give him a letter or so and see, because the secretary is here, Anthony. That's his work. I think he can draft something and make it official.
Jump in there, Paul.
Okay, I think has Phil disappeared?
Yeah, he's had a private message off him. He's listening in, but he's lost his internet.
Okay, well, Phil and I have had further discussions, and I know we have Freddie, but we took it on board to contact Wayne McIntosh to assist because we were getting no response from Dave Nolan whatsoever, who was informed verbally, I believe, only of the new Tanzanian Rugby Union. But Dave Nolan has been, he's been part of our conversation for years on this issue, and it's always a one-way traffic, not knocking anyone. But Phil and I were saying, well, we just wonder who knows about this in the Dar Leopards beyond Dave Nolan, and we were starting to contact people as from yesterday. But Wayne has promised to add his very good connections in Dar to understand if they actually do know anything. We were then also looking up when Dar Leopards have their annual general meeting and presenting a letter to them. And we can do that. I can do that because I wrote a letter to them 3 years ago on this very subject. And I can bring that up as a point of reference that they haven't given me a formal reply. And now this is the stage we are. So Dar Leopards needs, I'm very appreciative of Eric having his contacts, and we need to follow those contacts, but we need to formally do this with letters and present it to their committees. And we need to make sure everyone on that committee is aware. That still applies also for Arusha Rhinos. They've had lots of vulnerable information. How far it's got, I don't know, but we will make sure not just there's one letter. The letters will go to every committee member, addressed to the committee and the chairman and the president, but everyone, we will get the emails of everyone and send it to everyone. So it's not a case of them passing it on, we're passing that letter on.
Brilliant.
Regards to Tanzanian rugby development, we are not aware, and I've made some with Danny, and Danny's here still. Danny and I are going to have a little bit of a meeting about this and see how this can be approached. And the offer is still very much open to the TRD, and I'm not sure, apart from Juma, who is on their committee, but I have got 2 email addresses of the past members who are remaining, and we're happy to spread that word and see if there is a reaction. It has to be known that, as Freddie said, we are going to be the Tanzanian Rugby Union and Players Union, and everybody, each and everybody, will be given a chance if you want to be involved. And it seems absolutely pointless, and it hits my heart badly that all the years of development, and we've got young people who are not being engaging in rugby, who are very good rugby players, very capable. They've done level 1 coaching, and we don't even know where these guys are anymore.
I think when we've kind of in the next week, like I said to you, I think we'll be up on our feet. Everyone knows their roles, and then we can look to like Phil is doing really now. We can, like, I know Eric was up in a ringy the other day. Like, how good would it be when you're up in that area that you know what time training is and where you can go? You're not restricted to a region, is what I'm saying. Like, so I want to see, from my perspective, what I would like to see is cross-border stuff where people from other regions start supporting the other regions and realize that the quicker that we all can get up to the same level, the better the league is going to be and the better the standard is going to be for the international team, etc. So I think we all agreed upon that, and I think we've just got to work with people that agree to that with us and bring them along for the ride. Like I don't personally want to feel that we've alienated anyone, and I know that I personally have invited all the people I've just mentioned to these meetings and had conversations. So I just would like it formally done and known and documented that we've attempted that. And if the result is that they join, brilliant, and if they don't, we'll proceed as normal. There won't be any stopping, your guys' agenda, I guess. So
we all agree on that. I take it as we do.
I do. Yep, we're all good there.
Fine. Any other business? Anybody got any other points to make?
Just a summary, guys. All the Rugby Africa stuff is still proceeding as normal. I'm still chasing people down for bits and bobs of information, but I've nearly got it all. I will submit that to both Abdul and Paul with everyone's consent for them to finalize it because their names will be on the letters, guys. They'll be the president and the treasurer. So I'll be sending that across to Rugby Africa as long as Paul and Abdul agree to that. And I should have that information back pretty soon. I promised them that I'd send it Friday gone, but we're still waiting on a few things in Tanzania and a few other bits and bobs. Anthony, I'll probably have to pass some of that stuff via you because as a secretary to pass on to Paul and Abdul. So I'm working with Padra at the moment, doing like a letter template and stuff. So I'll send that to you. Can I ask, Paul, because that's all I've got to report on that. Can I ask that we all agree that can be finalized by both our president and treasurer so that I don't have to wait till the next meeting, please?
Of course, I'm very happy to take that on board, and thank you for the responsibility.
Okay, I'll arrange a private conversation with Abdul and go through everything, and hopefully you've watched the YouTube clip, but that's okay. So I guess from my perspective, guys, that's kind of covering all the things I needed to cover this evening. And the only thing that I would suggest is giving Anthony a little bit of time to update the union about the website and where we're at with that.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Anthony.
The website right now, the one that we're currently using, is made from WordPress. It's not the detailed website, but then it's one that we can start to use in the time being.
Will, can we pull
as far as it comes to, hello.
So I'm just going to ask Will to pull up the website while you're talking, Anthony, okay? Will, can you pull up the website while Anthony's talking, please?
Yeah, it'll take a second, so just go ahead and talk. I'll bring it up.
Anthony's not as fast as you on a tech. You'll have to keep talking.
All right, so as I was saying, the website that we're currently using is made from WordPress. It's something we're using temporarily in the time being as we wait to register on domain, which has to wait for other documents that have to be registered. For instance, the TIN number, the post address, and the email, the official email. So there's still some information that we have to wait for in order to start with our own domain, which is rugby.or.tz. That's as far as we have come, and the website that we're using from WordPress is okay. We can start with it. It has all the information needed as we wait to register our own domain.
Guys, sorry, I don't have the link saved here, so it take me a while to pull it up.
Have you got it, bud, or do you want me to send
it?
No,
I don't have the link handy. I don't have it saved here, so.
Give me a second, but I'll fight over it,
Put it on the comments here, and I'll bring it up.
Okay, wait there. I'm going to have to send it to you on WhatsApp, bud, because I can't...
I can't open a WhatsApp here. Can you just, put it in the comments of the...
Yeah, how do I get off my phone onto there? I'm not that good with it.
Oh, shoot. Email it to me.
I got an idea, do I? Leave it with me. Give me a second, guys. I got it. I got this. I'm going to show you my technical capabilities now.
I don't want anyone that can hear me, but I've lost volume, my sound.
It's
Is it a
me.
muting thing?
It's me. I muted, Paul. Give me a sec. Will, check the chat box. You should be good to go. That is the most technical thing I've ever done in my life. So I should get a job in IT now, Anthony. I've just posted up a website link there. It's already been sent to everyone in the union, and I've sent it to people individually. Paul asked a really valid question today, guys, and I think it's worth knowing. Anthony will have full access to this to change it as and when you guys want. So I guess the major section I think was the most interesting. The homepage. Can you scroll down a bit? That's just our basic news and update of what's going on. There'll be links on there to our AGMs and our meetings, so people who haven't seen it can log in and check that we are speaking the Queen's English and looking fantastic. I think the most exciting section for me is if you go to the About Us section, Will. This really, for me, might be me, but I think this shows where we're at. Like if you scroll down on here, a little bit of rugby out there in Zanzibar, which was lovely. I think that's one of Eric's guys putting a tackle in. But where it gets really good, guys, is as you scroll down there, and you can see that all these are things have got to be filled in. But this is for me, this is where it gets exciting. You can see all the clubs. You can see what time and dates the clubs train. You can see like some of those clubs have got, Facebook pages and hyperlinks and all that jazz. We're starting to look like a team, an organization is ready to run a union and ready to run a league, guys. And I think this is a good example of, for the people that don't know, I can't wait to see the Iringi Highlanders and the Zanzibar logo on there as well, because they're due to go on. And hopefully we'll get the Dark Cubs and we'll get the Rhinos. And then we can see a united Tanzania, and we'll see, I guess, what I've seen from an outside perspective for a very long time, that there's rugby all over Tanzania, but it's just a matter of bringing it to one location and creating a union, which is, you guys have done that, and then running that union effectively. There's enough rugby in Tanzania to have a rugby team right now. But that's all for me, Anthony. But I just want to make sure that I got nothing else to add this evening, Paul. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And I think that website to me is stunning, and I really, really suddenly feel a tingle in my body. I'm excited beyond. It's going to be wonderful, and I thank everyone who's involved in preparing that. Gentlemen, before we go, and it's really wrong of me, you can see what a useless chairman I would make if we had to have a chairman. I suppose to adopted the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay.
I'm not going to go back through everything. I'm sorry, but we had several points on the last meeting. I'm going to just ask for a show of hands that everyone is happy that the meeting took place. It was recorded, and everyone can view it in the YouTube. And that's the great thing about this technology. We can go back through years and years of that. As Freddie has already said, there's even now about 4 hours of us talking rugby. Anyhow, thank you, gentlemen.
It's brilliant. Guys, can I ask one thing at the next agenda? We discuss the calendar for the 2020 and 2021 season as a matter of urgency, please, at the next meeting.
Yeah, we should.
I see on the calendar, just for interest, there's the in Mombasa, they're having a beach rugby tournament in a date in August, so that needs to be looked into. Yeah. And that's the George Burnley Cup, and that Abdul will know more about that. But that was a cup which was always between Tanzania and Kenya, and it would be played a game in Tanga, and one game in Mombasa or Diana area. That's really a very nice one to get involved in.
I think we should definitely reconnect that little bit of history. If there was an
yeah, we tried to push it once, and anyhow, they wanted to do it over 2 weekends, and for us, obviously traveling, it was very, very difficult. We suggested that we could play on a Friday, a game, and then play on a Sunday morning.
Eric, I think that's something that you should really look at exploring in more detail, because you and I have talked in length about how we, the international aspect of how we connect with teams. So I've got a lot of contacts up in Kenya, I know. So I think we could, I could maybe have a chat to people up in Kent and get like an under-20 squad that would play against our team for that cup or something for you and Paul to explore. I don't know anything about that, but that's fascinating. That's great information there.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, well, that's just a side note, and I'll make a note of it under any other business, and under the fixtures or calendar, as you call it, for the year. So without any other do's and no other comments, I would like to call this meeting to a close at 21:17, and thank you all very much and good evening. Useless. When will we call the next meeting?
I think we've got a system. I think, as Eric is going to ask as well. Yeah, I suggest that we. Sorry, go on, Eric.
Oh, that was the same question I was going to ask. The same question.
Yeah. I think we stick with Tuesdays at the moment, guys. It's working well for us. We've got into a rhythm. Is it okay? And then what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to work with Paul and I get a summary of all the meetings in a summarized version that is going to be posted out. So if you haven't attended the last month or so, you can at least get a quick catch up. And if you're like, I don't know, a ringy, you can get up to speed pretty quickly. But I would suggest, Paul, if we can go for 8 p.m. your time on Tuesday the 18th, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I make it.
Agreed.
Yep. All agreed. I'll be there. Okay, so we're closing the meeting at 21:18 now. And I'd just like to say Idi Barak to all.
Idi Barak. Idi Barak.
Yeah. I hope we all enjoy your holiday. I know in Cardiff there's a lot of Muslims, so Freddie can join in.
It's Idi Bari, is it? Idi Bari? Am I right? I feel like I'm swearing right now. Paul has disappeared. Mubarak. Right, I don't think I'm saying anything. Okay. See you later, boys. Tonight, boys. Be safe.
All right, good night.